What is going on, everybody, and welcome into another edition of On the Record presented by Called It. Danny Burke, your host, and as always, incredibly happy to be with you for the next half hour as we discuss very, very exciting World Cup topics, because how could it not be exciting and entertaining with the final approaching us this Sunday with Spain and Argentina. And additionally, there is the third place game, and while we won't talk about that directly, there will be some influence from it via the conversation of the Golden Boot winner, which will be discussed on today's program because Cormac United is with us, Stephanie Odie is with us, and when we get those two together, you know it's always going to be a fun time. So we'll also discuss the Golden Boot Futures Department, and then we'll get the daily call regarding the championship game on Sunday with Lamine Yamal and Lionel Messi. That picture from 20 years ago, full circle now with those two meeting on the world's largest stage. How do these two panelists who will be joining me think that game's going to go down? And will they agree with the daily call? That we will get their thoughts on. And then, as we always conclude on a bit of a lighter note, our trending topics section of it. Now, we have done in the past, about a week ago or so, the nation that disappointed you the most throughout the World Cup. But now we're going to flip it, do a 180. Which nation impressed you the most? It could be an underdog story, could be one of the chalkier favorites who have just continued to perform exceptionally well. You could go whatever direction you want, but we will be getting the thoughts of Cormac and Stephanie on that topic momentarily. And folks, before we delve in, let me remind you to check out the website, www.calledit.media, because there you can sign up for free with just your email, and you get the daily newsletter that gives you the daily call. And not only can you read all the information alongside it, but you can voice your opinion on that said daily call by clicking yes or no, whether or not you agree. And you can compete amongst everybody. It's getting competitive around our work group here, so we want to hear from you and see if you can do better than us on the leaderboard with some of these daily calls along just both of these prediction platforms with Kalshi, with Polymarket, more getting into the game. It's a really exciting time to get invested. So make sure you do so at www.calledit.media. But let's go ahead, ladies and gentlemen, and jump in and bring our guests to the platform here. And we have Cormac United live in Indiana at Cormac_United, where you can catch him on TikTok and on Instagram. He's not sporting his usual red, but he's here in the flesh and he is ready to go. Cormac, how are we feeling this Friday?
I am ready for this weekend. I'm ready for this weekend. I'm very excited. You know what? I'm very excited for this third place match as well. I think it adds a little bit extra that we get the golden boot narrative in there as well. Maybe some added reason to care about that match, and also because I've got a feeling that Marcus Rashford and Kobbie Mainoo may be playing in that match. So yeah, I'll definitely be keeping an eye on that one. And of course, World Cup final. It's the biggest match in all of sports, biggest game in all of sports. So how could I not be excited for that?
No question, my man. Can't wait. And of course, very pumped to hear what you got to say about that game. And we're also anticipating the breakdown from Stephanie Odie at Steph Odie, where you can catch her on all the social channels. I know you're sporting the Called It gear as well, Steph. How are we feeling today?
Good. Always great to be back with you guys, especially Cormac. And when he says it's the biggest game in all sports, I know we've already debated Super Bowl versus World Cup, but he's got me. There was a lot of things that got me into the World Cup this year, so I've enjoyed it.
That's right. You know, it's bringing new viewers in, and it's fun being around our area here in the States. So we love to hear it. And yeah, you know, Cormac's getting us inspired every time he's hopping on here, especially when it's you two together. So again, we'll make the most of it for today's show without question regarding the championship matchup with Spain and Argentina. And folks, we might as well hop right into it because naturally that is where the focus of the daily call is. Now, before we get into that specific daily call, you can see on Kalshi right now, Spain is trading at just over 58% to win this match, minus 154 American odds. Argentina on the flip side at 41%. Plus 129 American odds. But then, as I always direct your eyes toward, you look to the right of the screen, over 1.5 second half goals traded at 44% is what the daily call is from the crew at Called It. So not only is that the daily call, it's part of the challenge, which they label as the run, where a $250 investment is put forward onto that. And the goal is to roll it over 12 times consecutively and reach $1 million. Now, throughout the World Cup, we've gotten to trade number 7, and obviously this will go after the World Cup, assuming that this trade does come through, which is the plan from the crew at Called It. But we don't know if that's the same thinking for both Cormac and Stephanie, because the crew at Called It believes the true chances that in the second half between Argentina and Spain should be at 48% that there are going to be 2 goals scored. Cormac, let's throw it to you. Do you agree with that daily call that it is going to be a higher scoring second half, over 1.5 goals?
I am a little bit split with this one because I see two sides of it. I think as much as we talked about this in the semifinals, where it's going to get, this is where moments really decide matches. This is where, you don't get to a World Cup final, you don't get to a World Cup semifinal without being an elite level team that could on any day, if they're playing their style of football, couldn't go on and win the whole thing, right? And so this is where it gets down to the point where teams do often kind of stray away from those kind of risks. Now, that being said, if we think back to 4 years ago in the 2022 World Cup, there was a lot of goals in that game. The second half, plenty of goals as well. So the thing that I think about really with these two teams, and I know this is going to be ironic, but I'm going to stay consistent with what I've been saying this whole time about Spain. I still do not believe that Spain have that great of a defense. I know they've only conceded 1 goal, and that sounds ridiculous to say. I think that they probably have a record-breaking defense. But my point is more so to say that I don't think that defensively they have this profoundly talented defense. What I do believe on the flip side is just that they are so good at holding the ball. I think that they do a good job of pressing high up the pitch. And of course that does still add to your defensive stability. But I'm just saying, like, the quality of their defenders specifically, and again, this is no hate on their defenders, but I just think that they are not the creme de la creme of world football. And I think that with Argentina, that's even more true. I think with Argentina defensively, they're even weaker than Spain are probably. And so I think with both of these teams, their strengths actually come when they have possession, on the ball, attacking. And that's why I actually do believe that look, I don't know if it's going to be Spain's day where they're going to play their style of football. I don't know if this is going to be Argentina's day where they play their style of football. But kind of regardless for me, whichever team really gets going, when they're playing their best type of football, it's attacking football, it's goal-scoring football. And for that reason, I believe that, yes, the call will be correct, and we're going to be seeing over 1.5 goals in the second half.
All right, Stephanie. Cormac agrees with the daily call that it is going to be over 1.5 here. What do you think with this market trading at plus 118 American odds for over 1.5 second half goals?
I was looking at a few plays that kind of in the same boat, but good points by Cormac. But one thing I looked at was, especially those defenses, the gambler's fallacy, where, having these late goals, is it likely it's going to happen again? In the World Cup, historical data notoriously says yes, which is not the normal. It's usually just a fallacy. But in the World Cup final, yes, it absolutely stands. World Cup finals, over the last 17 out of 21 regular time goals were in the second half. That's an 80% hit rate. And so 12 of Argentina's 19 tournament goals have come at the 75th minute, or 8 of those came between the 76th and 90th minutes alone. Late scoring here. Cormac, you said Spain, do you really think they have an elite defense? Well, I agree with you that they prefer holding the ball, drowning out their opponents. That prefers a slower game, just like these World Cup matches tend to do in the finals. According to 2026 World Cup data analysts, they compiled over the semifinals. The second half of matches has produced 35% more goals than the first across the entire tournament. And even more staggering, more than a quarter of all tournament goals, that's over 25%, have been scored in the final 15 minutes of regular time. That's the 75th and 90th minute. So everything just reiterates second half. I'm going to go with that. But other plays I was looking at, You can see Spain winning in the first half. That's 22%. Argentina, that's at 16%. Don't like either of those. You could look at an all-out just no scoring in the first half. I think that is just a slightly better value than going with the 1.5 over. I think that it's going to be a slow, drawn out battle. But I think like having a scoreless one, you get better value with that one.
Interesting.
I think, and I just pulled it up over here because I remember it being a stat earlier in the tournament, but it's quite telling to me that they're not anymore. Spain used to be the highest average possession at the World Cup, and they've dropped below it now because they've played more matches. But both Spain and Argentina are two of the very highest with possession, average possession per match. Spain at 63.8%, Argentina at 60.7%. And for me, that is so telling of the way that both of these teams want to play football. Now, that being said, there's not going to be 120% possession to give up between these two teams. So what that means is that they're going to have to make the most of their chances. They're going to have to battle, duke it out for the ball. And both teams are teams that like to press high up on the pitch. They like to do all the things that are conducive for high scoring matches. And I think Stephanie made a great point there too that I hadn't even considered. But yeah, first half is kind of where you want to get a feel for the game, play into the game, start getting your runs going, getting your passing plays going, all of that, getting into the motion of what it's like to play at the World Cup final. Of course, the nerves, you're still feeling the nerves. I feel like the second half is where you almost go into, I don't want to be like cartoonish here, but you get into flow state. You know, you're in flow state. You're really, you stop thinking about the noise outside. And that's when you're really just playing what's in front of you. And I think that we are going to start to see those goals in the second half again, especially just because of the way that both these teams set up. I would be a little bit shocked if we didn't see a high scoring affair here.
Yeah, but like to your point, I think it's historical data says that they play slow in the first because they want to avoid having those fatal mistakes in the beginning. And then you're playing under pressure in the second half instead of easing into it, like you said. So I'm backing the historical data, and then also experience always wins when it comes to these huge stages. And they always say, at least in my football, defenses win championships. So I think that one's going to stand for a lower scoring, at least in the first half.
You know, you guys, again, the last few times we've had you on, you guys are being too nice and cordial to one another. So I guess I'll throw the wrench in the mix here.
There we go.
I don't completely dislike it, but to offer at least the alternative thinking here. Now, especially Cormac, because we've joked off air and even on air too. Like, I'm clearly a big Messi guy. I think he's the GOAT, and I've been rooting for Argentina, and I was happy to see them win, and I was a big fan of them the last World Cup run. And my heart's telling me, of course, like I'm rooting for them in this game, but my head is thinking Spain. So with that being how I would approach it objectively, you can't be trailing if you're Argentina. If you go down 1-0, it's completely over, because I do believe Spain's defense is elite. Everything they've shown us has indicated that. You limited France to nothing. An offense that was considered Cormac, you said it yourself, one of the best attacks potentially of all time. They had zilch in that last game, and now we're dismissing this defense a little bit. I mean, that's ridiculous. So if Spain gets up 1-0, the rest of the game is just going to be completely boring. So I tend to think that may happen because Argentina, time after time after time, digs themselves in this hole. You're not going to be able to overcome that once again against this just absolutely legendary Spain defense right now. So that's the path that I see. If Spain gets on the board 1-0, there's no way there's going to be 2 goals unless it comes via Spain in the second half.
Interesting. I think that Argentina just have a way of making things happen. And I actually was going to say this, but I almost think that for Argentina, headed into the second half, this is going to sound backwards, I almost feel like Argentina is better off if they're trailing 1-0 than drawing 0-0. It sounds backwards, but I just feel like with Argentina, when they're trailing, they actually start playing their best football. Whereas when they're winning or when they're drawing, they kind of play scared. But when they're no longer scared, when they have nothing to lose, and I've talked about this before, I talked about it on the space that we were in on Twitter yesterday, they almost have too much. If it's arrogance, confidence, they're an overconfident team. They never really know when they're out of it. And I think for that exact reason, if they go behind, I honestly don't see a country in the world who's more capable of coming back from overcoming that. Really, honestly, I don't see any country in the world better at it.
Hey, they've proven to us time and time again they are capable of it. So perhaps that will be the case. But I mean, again, this Spain team, I'd be terrified if I was Argentina. But again, they have they have the bravado, they have the history, the championship experience to not care about it. So I don't know. Either way, it's going to be a blast. But over 1.5 second half goals is the daily call. These two like it. How about it? Who would have thunk it? I'm thinking kind of the other way. But hey, someone had to be contrarian here. So I guess I'll be the one to do it, my friends. Let's keep the conversation naturally in the World Cup. And it does revolve around the championship game, but it also revolves around the third place game too, with England and France, which I'm sure they're just incredibly excited for. But this topic of conversation is a Golden Boot winner. Now, you may be looking at that and going, well, of course it's going to be Messi, 59% minus 155. But Kylian Mbappe, again, he is playing in the third place game on Saturday. How much is he going to play? That's up for debate. He's trading at 40% plus 134. Tom and I yesterday on the Spaces were discussing this, and both of these players are at 8 goals, and I'll kind of give you my 2 cents really quick, guys. I think based on the price, it's worth it with Mbappe, because Mbappe wants to add to his legacy. He can't do it with a championship, but years down the road when you look back, this is going to be another accolade he can have under his belt, would be the Golden Boot. So I think he's actually going to play a decent amount, unless there's reports that I'm missing. And you're going up against an England squad potentially that just doesn't even give a damn about this game. Like, they don't care. So the defense may be at a minimal. Mbappe, being kind of a cocky, arrogant guy in himself and his playing ability, and rightfully so, may just be looking to pad the stats, where if you're Messi, you're going up against the best defense, clearly, in the World Cup, perhaps one of the best World Cup defenses we've ever seen. He got shut down the last game, and it still worked. Same thing may come to fruition this time. But they're even, and you're just getting a better price. If it was like a 50-50 coin flip, I'd stay away. But the fact we're getting plus money, Cormac, with Mbappe, that's where I think it's worth an investment.
I would tend to agree with you. Now, I think the very important thing, and I didn't even realize this or really remember it until I think you actually mentioned it earlier. If they are drawing, which they are currently on goals, so let's imagine neither player scores. It's not a shared award. It goes to whoever has the most assists, and I think that's really important as well.
True.
Now, I do believe Mbappe is not far off Messi. I think he has 3 assists.
Yeah.
And I think Messi has 4, so it's not
point differential on both goals and assists.
Yeah, so it's not
got the nod.
It's not crazy to be fair, but I do look at this, and I think that Messi has that advantage, but I think he also has the advantage of playing second, right? Because obviously, sure, Mbappe could go against England and score a hat trick, and then realistically, is Messi going to score a World Cup final hat trick? I doubt it. But I do think that if Mbappe goes out and scores 1 goal, and Messi knows he needs 1 goal through the game, that's not that much pressure on him, so he doesn't have to kind of overcompensate.
You think Messi cares about that? He's trying to win the championship. He doesn't care about the Golden Boot.
I guarantee you,
versus a solo trophy. Yeah. And I always think of the Heisman winners. Archie Griffin, the only 2-time, he said he would always give up a Heisman to win an ad.
100%.
You want to win with your team.
Yeah, but those aren't the same thing. I mean, that's an individual trophy, but the Heisman's based off of, it's like a voted on trophy, or it's not the same thing. Look, I understand what you're saying, but if there's this notion that Messi, like, I agree that Messi's not going to like make this stupid decision, but it still will subconsciously be in his head. Like, Messi is somebody who cares about the
only if they already shirred up the game.
Right.
I don't think it's going to affect his gameplay whatsoever unless they're up, they're up early.
I think that you would be surprised. But even so, regardless,
team sport.
I think that with Mbappe, especially with what you were talking about with England, I think England are going to rotate a lot. And so probably is not going to be their strongest 11 out on the pitch. Now, maybe that's going to be, with the football that England was playing throughout the World Cup, no disrespect, they made it far in the World Cup, but were they playing the most brilliant football? I'm not so sure about that. So maybe they're going to go out there and end up playing better than they had been. But yeah, I do think I'd probably edge it to Mbappe just because of that. I think there is in some ways it's an advantage for Messi, but I just think Kylian Mbappe, for me, he's the greatest ever World Cup player. I've said it before, I'll say it again. And I think that he's going to remind everyone why that is.
Dang, I'm with you on this one. For a little bit different reasoning, the line is the line is fishy. It's a fishy line because for Messi to be at 60% to win it, he basically doesn't need to do anything to win it as long as Mbappe, doesn't jump him, get a goal. Then he's kind of needs to up it. But he wins on the tiebreaker by the assist, to your guys' point, because he has 4, Mbappe got 3. The second tiebreaker does go to Mbappe. If they finish with both goals and assists, the award goes to the player with the fewest minutes played, with the fewest minutes played. So that, you're averaging out your goals on time. The fishy line goes to Messi being at 60, and then you look at the other plays in both of these games. Messi over half of a goal, 37%. Over 1.5, 10. Mbappe to score 1 goal, 56%. They're basically telling us that Mbappe's got it. But then if you look at the Golden Boot market, it's completely jaded. Like it doesn't add up. To your point, the only thing that would possibly stand in the way, I think, would be if he's not playing those 90 minutes in these third place bronze games. You see the younger guys get them experience that is crucial as we're talking about experience, needing it in these tournaments. That could be a factor. So at that point, are they playing for the bronze, or are they going to help their guy get a trophy? I think the nod goes to Mbappe in that regard, because it's a team sport. If you don't have much to play for, then help your teammate,
right,
get the glory, since you guys couldn't get the team win. I think the team would rather support Mbappe in that situation than Messi. Messi's had a great run. He broke records already. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think it's as needed, to your guys' point. So I think the juice goes to Mbappe.
Yeah. I'm completely with you there, Steph. And Steph, before we move on, I feel like this is something that would drive you crazy. What are your thoughts on third place games? Yay or nay for Stephanie Odie to having these players compete for that?
I always have to compare it to my football. And that's basically talking about bowl games. And players opting out of bowl games and things like that. I am a huge proponent of bowl games simply because of the experience. You're only in college for 4 years or more or less nowadays. But the experience you get playing for bowl games, playing for your alma mater, playing with your boys one more time, I think that really adds value. And you're doing it for the fan bases. I've covered many bowl games where the stadiums are full and they're not playing for a playoff game, even in the extended 12-team playoff. So I think on the world stage, I think there's a lot of guys that lost motivation when they're not playing for the World Cup itself, but playing in those finals, I do think that there's meaning, especially when you see the fandom streaming through all these different cities and they've all brought them to this place. I think that, yeah, I'm in favor of them. Ordinarily, no, but
that's where I thought you were going to be. I'm surprised you're in favor of it, actually.
Only because it doesn't happen often. If the World Cup was every single year, I'd be like, soccer, no, we're not doing this. But it's all the nations are up for grabs to get there. I think it matters. It's different because I'm looking at college athletes and they're basically professionals now. But I think like your college team that's such a special time for being a member of that team. Yeah. I think that it's really, really special. So in this instance, yeah, because it's just, even the teams we see so frequently late into the tournament, yeah, we may see them often, but how many times do you get to be with this team?
True.
So
Cormac,
yeah, I'm in favor of it.
What do you think? Like, you as a diehard, I mean, are you looking forward and going on? I mean, it's Mbappe and so it's a good matchup, but I mean, do you go out of your way to watch this match?
I think you watch it. I think you watch it just for the aspect that you get to watch some of the best footballers in the world play football. I think that's why it really has the appeal there. And I think a lot of times, actually, you know what? The World Cup for a lot of players, especially like the likes of France, for example. France are a footballing nation. They are an incredibly talented footballing nation. And so for some of these players, they will only ever play at one World Cup. They are not going to play at another World Cup. And so even the opportunity to get a bronze medal at the World Cup, yeah, obviously for some people, you're looking for gold. That's what you have your eye on. But hey, that's that's something to play for. Being able to have a World Cup bronze medal. I mean, this is a trophy that, like, again, I believe that the World Cup, and actually I don't think this is even a controversial take, the World Cup is the most beautiful, the most important trophy in the world. It's the most important trophy in the world. So to even get a chance at getting a bronze medal, to me, I think that that's something that, like, putting your nation, especially because you're representing your country as well, that is something so special. So yeah, obviously for Mbappe, he's already got a World Cup trophy, so he's probably not going to be that pressed about if he gets it a bronze medal or not. But for some guys who don't know if they're going to play in another World Cup, to be able to come away from a World Cup and have a bronze medal, that's something that they'll definitely be happy and proud to be able to bring back to their nation.
Yeah, I'm with you. And honestly, I was talking to a girl at tight end university. Her husband was a tight end, and she was telling me she was a soccer. She played in the World Cup, and just playing it, I'm like, that impressed me so much. I'm like, that is awesome. You can always say that. So even in conversations like that, I thought that was really, really cool.
She American?
No, she played for I think Jamaica.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, but she her husband went to Vanderbilt. I don't know where she went to college, but yeah, playing in the World Cup, I was so impressed. That was awesome.
All right, guys. Well, let's end it on this note. Our trending topic: which nation has impressed you the most throughout the 2026 World Cup? It could be an underdog story, could be a fun fan base. We know Stephanie's got a fan favorite there with one of these fan bases. It could be one of the favorites who have just been winning time after time again that has really blown you away. But Steph, let's hear from you first. Which nation has impressed you the most at this World
I went
Cup?
a lot of directions with this. I definitely wrote down Scotland. They freaking owned it in the fan base. Like, Norway, you're like the runner-up, but you had some fun stuff. Scotland wins. I mean, I fell in love with that country just honestly being there just a few weeks prior. Everyone is super, super friendly. They're all about good vibes, and I love them on the fan base side. I have to give some credit to our nation also. America did a phenomenal job hosting. I think they get a huge mark in this conversation. I think if you're talking about who's been impressive, America did a phenomenal job hosting. I'm really proud of them. But to give this to a team, I don't know if you guys get Cape Verde, they completely blew me away, got me in tears when it comes to soccer. It's hard to do, but defying the odds is just incredible. And they didn't just show up and participate. They were contenders. They were challengers. For a nation, they were ranked 67th in the world, representing a West African island nation that has about 560,000 citizens there. And then you look at their storylines galore. Their coach literally was recruiting on LinkedIn. They didn't have the resources that other teams have had. And then their goalkeeper, I mean, how heartfelt, 40 years old, playing on the biggest stage in America. Another reason to be impressed with them, happy about them. They fast-tracked her paperwork and got her out here so that she could see him in that big moment. I think that storyline won me over. I think you have to talk about all of those spots. So yeah, you can go the fun route. The Scotland, their fans were freaking incredible. America, and they showed up and played soccer too. Like, they balled for our country, not really to be all about soccer. We showed up for American soccer. So I'm proud of them. But Cape Verde, phenomenal story.
Cormac, which nation impressed you the most?
I would tend to agree with Cape Verde. I think that Stephanie put it quite well there and touched on really why Cape Verde is so special. I would say outside of that, I'm proud of how the U.S. has been. I'm actually proud of all the host nations. And I would say specifically, I look at Mexico and the way that I think Mexican fans were hosts. I think that probably out of the three nations, they were the best hosts, in my opinion, as far as I've seen so many videos of the Korean fans in Mexico. Really, even after England knocked Mexico out of the World Cup, the Mexican fans showing love to English fans and not being hostile and just enjoying and embracing what's so beautiful about the World Cup. And so I think Mexico did a fantastic job. I think that they were probably the best hosts out of the three. I would say in a footballing sense, of course, Cape Verde, expectation versus reality. I mean, they've massively blown away expectations. But I actually look at, ironically, Spain for me. I know Spain was one of the favorites, but I think that I've been very impressed with Spain.
I was going to say the same thing, Cormac. I'm with you.
What?
No, Stephanie's not with us here.
Baseline. That's like saying Alabama, like making the 12-team tournament. Oh, I'm impressed. No, you should be there.
But
you should be there.
But the fact is that they've only allowed one goal.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
and I know that they were.
You just said they don't have an elite defense.
Well, that's my point. Is that I personally know that the world said they were favorite. Cormac book of footballing knowledge, I didn't have them that high, and so I personally think they've overperformed what I believe they were possible of because. Again, Spain have some ridiculously talented players. Again, Lamine Yamal, Rodri, they've got world-class players, no doubt. They also have some players in their squad. Unai Simon, or Simone. Do I think Unai Simone is that great? No. But Spain has conceded one goal. That's pretty ridiculous. I think considering their team and considering almost the way that their World Cup started against Cape Verde, I'm really thoroughly impressed with the way that they've continued on. And even just beating France for me, that in itself is really good. And so, of course, again, I know it's about expectation versus reality, but for me, they've overperformed what I expected.
Yeah, but I did write down, Michael, for him to have a great run, for him to have 5 goals and then 1 assist heading into the final. I mean, that's impressive. But when we're talking, I mean, we can't talk about Cape Verde and talk about Spain. Like it just doesn't go hand in hand here.
Yeah, but they both overperformed their expectations in different ways. Right? It's relative. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
With you, Cormac.
I mean, this conversation's for the underdog.
Well, that's
but then you can say
flowers.
You can give half the countries have done their best ever World Cup ever. Even Curacao, getting points at the World Cup is ridiculous.
But Cape Verde, for a nation to be that small and having such unconventional resources when it comes to recruiting, LinkedIn. Are we kidding?
I agree with you. I agree.
They are far more impressive, and they also scoreless too. So how about that?
Yeah, but I didn't want to copy. Come on.
Fair. I got to go first this time.
Cape Verde is at the top, no question. I'm with you, though, on Spain, the 1 goal. How about even Argentina just coming from behind with so many of these wins? Come on. It's tough. One of the greatest comebacks we've ever seen. To replicate it, Messi, 39 years old. Honorable mention.
Danny, can I tell you something? This is going to come as a shock to the listeners out there. But in the World Cup final, I will be supporting Argentina. I will be supporting Argentina. And it's not
all over the place today.
Well, let me explain, actually. Allow me to explain. Allow me to explain. You'll actually know, maybe you don't know. There's something called the Cormac curse that I've come to understand. Every team that I like loses. I liked Canada, they lost. I liked Mexico, they lost. I liked the USA, they lost. I liked Portugal, they lost. I liked France, they lost. I liked Norway, they lost. And so at some point,
a lot of teams though,
well, because all the teams I like,
you're a fair weather.
No, I'm not fair weather, but I have the teams that I like, and then they all get knocked out. And I'm like, okay, who's the next best? They get knocked out. Who's the next best? They get knocked out. And so in the last round, I realized maybe I should use my powers for good. And so I said, I'm going to support England in this round. Look what happened to them. And so Argentina, I'm proud to announce that I will be supporting Argentina in the final. And all the best, Argentina. Come on, Messi.
Stephanie, the issue is if it's really a true curse, then Argentina is going to win and he's going to be upset.
But it worked against England.
You know what's going to hurt? Cormac, you are asking for it.
It worked against England. I already did it once. It was successful against England. I supported England and they lost.
I will say, when you talked about Holland just breaking your heart over and over, I became a fan. And then he just took over social media and he was funny. But when you said he breaks your heart all the time, I'm like, fan. I'm a fan. And then he took off. So my fandom's good. I mean, Scotland, they made it further than I think we would have thought. Maybe by 1 game. But the U.S., heck yeah, they made it pretty far for us. So
I cannot wait for Michigan football.
My fandom wins. Oh, you can't see my Ohio State stuff back here. My fandom wins.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. Well, we know what Cormac is doing strategy fandom-wise for the game, what he thinks. Stephanie, by Monday next week, who's going to be at the top of the World Cup in 2026? Where's your final stamp of approval of trading, whatever you want to call it, for who is going to be victorious?
Yep, I said it in an earlier show with Cormac. I thought the winner of that France Spain game is going to win it all. So that's who I got to go with. Spain's going to do it. Take it home. Take it home.
The full circle ending. Lamine Yamal, he's going to be the one overshadowing Lionel Messi. That's what Stephanie says. That's what Cormac, I want to put it on the record for him. He's rooting for Argentina, folks, so keep that in mind. Team Argentina for Cormac. Again, I'm heart Argentina, head Spain, so that's kind of where I'm at. I do think Spain gets the job done, but we will have plenty more coverage for it here on the record. We have a special edition show tomorrow early in the morning. Myself, Adam Kaufman, Maya Campion will be talking more about it. And perhaps we'll be doing a live X Spaces on Sunday again, and we can have these guys join. Hey, Cormac will get his audio issues fixed, and then Cormac, I know, will be geared up and ready to go on Sunday. And perhaps we'll get Steph in there as well. And hopefully we see all of you in there. But make sure.
Any fun watch plans? What are you guys doing for the game?
I'm probably just watching with some friends, having a good time. How about you, Cormac?
Cormac, I want to see you. I want to see you hammered.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I'll be doing a live stream as I always do. So we're going to be watching that one live. So there'll be plenty of highlights when Argentina wins.
Maybe Cormac will take a shot every time there's, a player falls down and fakes an injury or something, Stephanie. We got to get something.
Cormac, did you see that? I sent it to you on Instagram. There was a meme about like girls giving birth and then all of a sudden it cuts to these soccer players and like falling, so dramatic. I sent it to you. I'm like, guys, these soccer players need to be tougher. Those shin guards aren't strong enough.
I won't respond. I'm above this. I'm above this level of banter.
Oh, man. Well, hey, if you want to watch Cormac's live stream, folks, make sure you follow him at Cormac_United. And, of course, check out Stephanie's content as well at Steph Odie. Appreciate you both. Such a blast as always. And appreciate everybody tuning in to another edition of On The Record presented by CalledIt. And in case you missed it there on the screen at Kalshi, the trade, the daily call, and trade number one of the run, trying to put that 250 you see in the corner and roll it over to $1 million. Is on the second half over 1.5 goals, trading at 44%. The crew believes it should be at 48%. So make sure you head to the website, enter your email. That's all you got to do. You're not getting spammed. You're getting instead the daily newsletter with all the information and breakdown of the daily calls and top trades that are made. And you can also let us know if you agree with it or if you disagree with it and see how you stack up amongst everybody else who's being competitive amongst the crew of the leaderboard. I was floating toward the top, but some of our own guys are up there. So some people need to knock them down a peg or two. So make sure you check that out, ladies and gentlemen. But we appreciate you, as always, hopping on for another edition of On The Record. Again, we will be back tomorrow early in the morning. Myself, we'll have Maya Campion, and we'll have Adam Kaufman for a full breakdown of the third place game and more in-depth analysis for the championship matchup as well. But until then, best of luck with all your trades, and we will see you on the record.